She slowly shook her head. No. They aren't human footprints. And they don't belong to any animal I've ever seen around here. Come outside. You need to see them for yourself. By then, Faraz had joined us. The three of us stepped outside into the freezing morning air. Fresh snow covered the entire courtyard. At first, everything looked perfectly normal. Then, I looked down. My heart almost stopped. There were tracks. Dozens of them, pressed deeply into the fresh snow. But they weren't footprints. They looked like hoof prints. At first glance, they resembled the tracks of a deer or a goat. But there was one terrifying difference. They were far too large, much larger than any deer or mountain goat could possibly leave. For a moment, we assumed that some wild animal had wandered down from the mountains during the night. But as we began following the trail, something impossible became clear. The tracks didn't begin outside the yard. They started right in the middle of it. There were no footprints leading into the courtyard, no trail coming from the road, no signs that anything had climbed over the walls. It was as if the creature had simply appeared out of thin air. Silence fell over all of us. None of us could explain what we were seeing. Then we continued following the trail. The hoof prints led straight across the snow. Toward my bedroom window. My heartbeat became faster with every step. When we reached the window, I froze. The prints didn't just pass by, they remained there. Several deep impressions covered the snow directly beneath the window, as though whatever had made them had stood there for a long time, completely still, watching my room, watching me while I slept. A cold sweat broke across my body despite the freezing weather. Everything I had heard the previous night suddenly became terrifyingly real. The truck, the yellow light, the overwhelming feeling that something had been staring at me through the window. It hadn't been my imagination. Something had truly been there. And whatever it was, it had been standing only a few feet away from where I slept. Faraz stared at the tracks without saying a single word. The smile that had been on his face only minutes earlier had completely disappeared. For the first time, he looked genuinely frightened. He finally realized I hadn't imagined anything. For several long moments, none of us spoke. The icy morning air suddenly felt heavier than before. Faraz slowly crouched down and examined the strange tracks more closely. "They're not human," he whispered. "They're not even from any animal I've ever seen."